Welcome to the Hormone Hub podcast. I'm Kylie Pinwell, and this is where we talk about what's really going on in perimenopause and menopause and what you can actually do about it. Hello, and welcome back to the Hormone Hub. I'm your host, Kylie Pinwell, and today I'm sharing something that happened to me very recently. And honestly, I nearly didn't share this because, as a nutritionist who spent the best part of a decade helping women with their hormones, their health, their weight, I feel like I should know better. But this is exactly why I need to talk about it. So, a few Sunday nights ago, now this was after a couple of glasses of wine, and we all know a few glasses of wine and being on social media isn't necessarily the best choice, but here we are. So I'd had some wine, I'd had some cheese, I'd had a weekend of not exercising and overall not making particularly great food choices. I found myself scrolling through social media and I found myself filling out an online questionnaire to buy GLP-1 weight loss medication. Yes, me. I was sitting there feeling flat, disconnected, uncomfortable, and pretty much thoroughly fed up with myself. My clothes felt tight. Over the last few months, probably this year actually, I've gained, I'm guessing about 5 kilos for no apparent reason. Okay, maybe wine and cheese, but yeah, I've got no energy, no motivation, lost my kind of inclination to get up off the couch and do anything about it. And then the ads start popping up on your Facebook and your Instagram feeds. You know, the ones lose weight without the hunger, simple online assessment, weight loss made easy, medication delivered to your door, medical support included. It all sounds super easy. And when you're feeling uncomfortable in your body, easy sounds very tempting. And today I want to talk about why I clicked, what happened when I completed the questionnaire, and what eventually made me stop before handing over like close to $2,000. Now, this isn't an anti-GLP-1 episode. These medications can be incredibly helpful for the right person when they are prescribed appropriately and supported properly. Now, being able to buy something easily doesn't automatically mean it's right for you. And when perimenopause and menopause are adding another layer of complexity to your weight, your energy, your appetite, your body composition, you need more than an online form and a parcel arriving at your front door. Okay, let's get into this episode. Okay, my Sunday night spiral. Sunday night, couple of glasses of wine, cheese platter, no exercise all weekend. I think it was raining from memory. I wasn't feeling great. And you know that Sunday night feeling when you mentally add up everything you've eaten, everything you didn't do, everything you're going to have to fix on Monday? That was me. And I thought I had got out of this rut. And before anyone says, Kylie, you should know that one weekend doesn't cause 5 kilos of weight gain. Yes, I do know that logically. But in the moment, I wasn't there sitting there making a calm, logical decision. I was feeling ick. So clothes were tight, energy was low. I didn't feel motivated and I felt frustrated because I've put on this weight despite feeling as though I haven't really dramatically changed anything that I'm doing. I just felt lazy. Now, I don't particularly like that word because when we tell ourselves we're lazy, there's generally something else going on. We're tired, we're overwhelmed, we've lost our routine, we're not sleeping well, we're trying to juggle work, family, parents, extended family, brothers and sisters. Oh my God, that's a whole other whole other story. Relationships, appointments, kids, like everything else that life is throwing at us. But in that moment, lazy was the word going around in my head. Then the ad appeared. Then I clicked on it. And of course, once I'd clicked on one weight loss ad, approximately 50,000 more appeared in my newsfeed. Suddenly, everyone had the answer. Different medications, different prices, different promises, fill in a form, speak to someone online, have the medication delivered. No awkward doctor's appointment, no long wait, no complicated plan. Just click, qualify, and get started. It was very convincing. So I started filling out one of the online questionnaires, and the first time I used my correct information and I didn't qualify, which was fair enough. But I'd already gone far enough down the rabbit hole that I really wanted to see what was going to happen next. So I changed the numbers slightly, made myself a bit heavier, made myself a bit shorter, and all of a sudden I qualified. And this was the moment that I really began to question the process. Nothing about my health had changed, nothing about my body had changed, nothing about whether the medication was appropriate for me had changed. I simply entered different numbers into a form. Now, apparently, I was eligible to purchase it. And that had kind of set off a few alarm bells because a questionnaire can collect information, but the quality of the process depends on what's being asked, how carefully the answers are reviewed, and what happens next. So, we really need to think about, is someone looking at your full health history? Is someone looking at your current medications, your blood results, and I mean recent blood results, your digestive health, your history with food and dieting, your current muscle mass and your current exercise load, your menopause symptoms, like where are you at? What are you currently eating? Why the weight gain has happened in the first place. Now, this is a big one that gets missed. Or to qualify, have you simply crossed a numerical threshold? So these are two very different levels of care. So by the time I got to the payment page, at that stage with the medication, it was a minimum of 3 months commitment plus the ongoing costs involved. So they suggested that this was a lifetime or lifestyle medication that you needed to stay on. But you're kind of looking at spending like a minimum $1,000 to $2,000. And this is where I caught myself. I thought, oh my God, hang on a second. I have got the tools to do this myself. Why am I thinking about spending more money than I needed to? And it wasn't that I suddenly discovered some magical reserve of motivation, because trust me, I hadn't. But I simply paused long enough just to step out of that Sunday night emotional spiral. One weekend of wine, cheese, exercise, or not exercising didn't mean that I needed medication. Feeling uncomfortable in my clothes did not mean that I needed to make an expensive health decision at night while feeling flat and frustrated and a little bit tipsy, maybe. And 5 kilos of weight gain did not mean that I had failed. It meant that I needed to look properly at what had changed: my routine, my food, my alcohol, my sleep, my stress, my movement, my hormones. So, all of the very unexciting things that don't neatly fit into a shiny Facebook ad, but they matter. And then I had another thought: if I can get pulled into this and sucked into this easily with all the knowledge and the experience I have, how many other women are sitting there doing exactly the same thing? So I want to make this really clear. So, wanting a quick result does not make you lazy or foolish or vain. Okay, you might have been trying to lose weight for months or even for years. You might have been caught into a diet cycle for years. You might be eating well most of the time and exercising regularly, but your body and the way your body responds has changed. You might be exhausted just thinking about food and what you should be eating or not eating. You might have had enough of walking into your wardrobe and finding yet another pair of pants that no longer fits. And when you're already doing a lot, like life, the idea of adding another complicated health plan into life can feel exhausting. And of course, the simple option gets our attention. And that's what these ads are designed to do. They find you when you feel most frustrated and they offer some relief. But there's a difference between wanting support and making a rush decision because you feel bad about yourself. So the first comes from self care, and the second often comes from shame. And shame is a terrible place from which to make decisions about your health. It really is. Now, I'm not saying that GLP-1 medications are inherently good or bad. We need to think about them as a tool. And 100%, for some women, they can be incredibly useful. They can reduce food noise and they can make your appetite seem more or feel more manageable. And for someone who has struggled with weight for a long time, someone who's struggled with obesity for a long time, seeing early progress can really help restore that motivation and that momentum. So weight loss will also improve regardless of how you lose that weight. Weight loss will improve your health markers such as your blood sugar response, your blood pressure, cholesterol. There's women who feel more mobile, more energetic, more confident after using GLP medications. And this really matters. This is important. It reduces that inflammation overall and improves your health markers. So, what I'm talking about today isn't about scaring women away from medication or suggesting that everyone should be able to do it through willpower. And that's not how weight works. And it certainly isn't how hormones work. But just like HRT, supplements, fasting, strength training, or any other health strategy, GLP-1 medication is a tool. Okay, so it's one tool, it's not the whole toolkit. So, medication may reduce how much you want to eat, but it doesn't automatically show you how to nourish your body with that smaller amount of food. It doesn't protect your muscle unless you're deliberately supporting your muscle with weight training or strength training. It doesn't guarantee that you're getting enough protein, enough fiber, iron, zinc, omega 3s, or other important nutrients. It doesn't address sleep. It doesn't address poor sleep or emotional eating. And it doesn't give you a plan for what happens if you eventually stop taking it. And that support needs to be built around the medication. So I've spoken to a lot of women who've used things like Wegovy or Monjaro or Saxenda or Zempic. And the biggest issue I hear is that they were given very little guidance around what to eat. So the medication reduces your appetite, so you eat much less. But less food doesn't automatically mean better nutrition. So sometimes it might mean a coffee in the morning, a few bites at lunch, and whatever they can tolerate at dinner. They might be losing weight, but they're also losing muscle. They're noticing changes in their skin tone. They're dealing with constipation, diarrhea, nausea, stomach cramps, or other digestive issues. They're not getting clean. And because they don't feel hungry, it doesn't register and they assume that they don't need to eat. But your body still needs nutrition even when your appetite is reduced. Your muscles need a reason to stay. Your digestive system still needs fiber and fluid. Your probiotics, your prebiotics. Your bones still need support. Your brain still needs fats and vitamins and minerals. And particularly in perimenopause and menopause, we can't afford to treat muscle as an optional extra. Muscle supports our metabolism, strength, mobility, insulin sensitivity, and long-term independence. It keeps us out of the nursing home. Yeah. And the number on the scales might be dropping, but we need to ask, what are you actually losing? So it definitely becomes more complex for women in their 40s and 50s. So weight gain during perimenopause and menopause is really just about eating too much. So changing estrogen levels affect where we store fat. Sleep disruption can increase hunger and make it harder to regulate your appetite. Stress and cortisol can affect blood sugar, energy, and food choices. We don't tend to make the best choices when we're under stress. And a loss of muscle can reduce the amount of overall energy your body loses. So this is where insulin resistance becomes more of an issue. And then we've got thyroid health, inflammation, alcohol, digestion. And the reality is, many women are moving less because they're just exhausted. So it's certainly not impossible to lose weight during menopause, but the hormonal changes need to be considered. You can't always take the plan that worked in your 30s, the good old eat less and exercise harder, and expect the same results. And you definitely don't need to blame yourself when it doesn't work. Your body has changed and your strategy needs to change with it. So, the question I think we need to be looking at is if we do go down the rabbit hole of taking a GLP medication, what happens afterwards? So, the GLP-1 medications can be expensive. Not everyone wants to stay on them or is able to stay on them indefinitely. If you stop taking the medication and you haven't built the habits and the nutrition and the muscle to support your body, what happens when your appetite returns? Because it will. Okay. What happens when the food noise comes back? What happens when life becomes stressful again? Now, this is why there needs to be an exit plan, not a vague promise that you'll eat better once the weight's gone. You need a proper plan. How are you going to structure your meals? How much protein do you need? How will you rebuild or preserve your muscle mass? And what will you do when your motivation drops? How are you going to manage weekends and alcohol and holidays and social events? How are you going to recognize when those old patterns come creeping back in? So, while medication can support the weight loss phase, you really need the tools to maintain the result afterwards. Otherwise, like all diets, you're going to end up back where you started, only more frustrated and a lot more out of pocket. Okay, so what did I do? What did Kylie choose? Okay, this is what I decided to do. I closed the payment page. I decided that I was way better off spending that $1,000 to $2,000 on something entirely different, like a holiday. Oh, my daughter wants a horse. Oh my God, that's a whole lot of podcast in itself. But I decided it was time to use my own tools. Not perfectly. I didn't wake up Monday morning and become a completely different person. I didn't swear off cheese and wine forever. Life is short, and I enjoy both of those things. But I need to stop using one less than perfect weekend as evidence that I can't do this. Okay. I need a reset. So for me, that looks like a short focus period where I can get back into my routine, I can shift the weight, feel better in my clothes again. And you've heard me talk about this before, the Weight Loss Wisdom program. So this is not an endless diet. It's a focused 3 to 6 week program, which is designed to help women have a clear structure and shift that weight without that process dragging on for months. So you have the food plan, you have the food list, you have the phases, you have the mindset tools, you know exactly what to do, what to eat, how to move through each step, and most importantly, this has an end point. You focus on a maximum of 6 weeks, then you take a break and move into a maintenance phase. Because living on a restrictive weight loss plan indefinitely is not realistic, it's not very fun, and it's not what I want for you. We want progress over perfection. Okay, so doing something is better than sitting on the lounge, feeling ick, convincing yourself nothing is going to work. Okay, so you've heard my story, you've heard why I went down the rabbit hole. So, yeah, no surprises. I am due for a reset. So, this time I am going to do weight loss wisdom alongside with you. So, not as the nutritionist standing on the sidelines pretending I never struggle. I am there with you as a woman in her 50s whose clothes are tight, whose motivation is dipping, and who needs to get back to doing the things that she knows will make her feel better. I want more energy. I want to feel comfortable in my clothes again. I want to stop complaining about the weight I've put on and do something about it. And I know it will be easier with a clear plan and some accountability. So if this sounds like where you are right now, I would love you to join me. So Weight Loss Wisdom is Australian dollars, $4.99, with the option to add on the support supplement pack. I've made this optional just to cater for more budgets. You'll follow the program with me for between 3 to 6 weeks, depending on your goals and how your body responds. And then when you finish, I'm also including the hormone reset program to help you transition back into a balanced, sustainable routine. Because losing weight is one part of the process, keeping it off, supporting your hormones, and feeling well afterwards matter just as much. So, if you have been tempted by one of those GLP-1 ads, I get it. I understand. I clicked too. But there is no judgment here. And before you enter your credit cards, pause. And I want you to ask yourself, why do I want this right now? Have I had a proper health assessment? Do I understand the potential benefits and risks? What support will I receive with protein, food, fiber, strength training? What's my plan if I stop taking it? And am I making this decision because it's genuinely right for me or because I feel awful about myself tonight? You deserve more than a quick questionnaire and a payment page. You deserve proper information, appropriate medical support, and a plan that covers your whole body, including the added complexities of perimenopause and menopause. So if medication is the right tool for you, and use it with the support you need. So ask yourself those questions, get yourself that support. And if it isn't, know that it's not your only credible option. So I've linked Weight Loss Wisdom in the show notes if you want to join me for this next round. I am ready to get my energy back, shift these 5 kilos, and feel comfortable in my clothes again. If you are ready too, I've got you. All right, big love, and see you soon. Thanks for listening to the Hormone Hub podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow so you never miss a new one. And for more practical hormone support, visit myhormonehub.com.